first of all, thank you guys for jumping on a Saturday night. I know it's these things happen and they move fast, and I know it's Saturday night, so I really respect you guys jumping on. I'll try to answer as openly and as honestly as I possibly can. There are some HIPAA issues, and we want to respect that. I guess as I think about this, I want to first make sure that we're honoring and respecting what Victor Oladipo has done for the Indiana Pacers. A few years ago, when we did that trade and acquired Victor and Domas, it kind of felt like there were some dark clouds, and everybody thought that our short-term season and outlook was dim, and they came in. They helped create a completely new culture, and I want to make sure that when Victor comes back, that we totally honor and respect what he has done for us. And I will always remember some of the big plays that he's made, going head to head with LeBron in the playoffs, almost beating Cleveland in that 7-game series, and then him working his tail off to get back. So I want to thank Victor for that, Victor and his whole family, because they're terrific people, and I want to make sure not just us internally, but our whole community honors and respect him. Secondly, I want to welcome Caris LeVert. I've gotten a chance to know him. I think you guys will really attach to him. He's got this magnetic personality. Obviously, you're probably reading, there's been some challenges and uniqueness in this trade. It's had a lot of ups and downs, even though it came to us in sort of a quick fashion in the last 3 or 4 days. But there's been a million calls. And one of the things that it makes this so unique is through the health process that we've done, and hat tip to our medical staff, we were able to find something that could help this kid and give him a better and clean prognosis for the rest of his life. So we're, in a way, it's an incredible story, something that we don't take lightly. And our staff, the local Indianapolis medical community is truly special. And so big hat tip to those guys, because without that and going through our medical process, we don't find what we found. So this was a very unique trade. Again, it had some ups and downs. I do want to say something because of this unique nature of the trade, and that was through all the calls, through all the looking at it from the pros and cons. I want to tell you guys that we have an incredible owner, Herb Simon, in his incredible fashion, in one call that was in the last probably 24 hours, summed it up, and he really humanized it and made it really about Caris and trying to do what's right for him. Because as soon as we found this out, all eyes were trying to help Caris and making sure that we planned this out. But we got very comfortable with it, and we believe that there's an opportunity, not just in the short term, but also in the medium term and in the long term, to be a really good basketball team. And we're going to step up. I think you've seen what Caris has said, but this organization is going to step up, help them get through this, get them back on the court. I'm super confident that we're going to have them on the court. Everybody I know will want a timeline. I don't want to do that. People will heal in all different fashions, but we expect him out on the court, and we're going to be really a good basketball team, not just now, but in the medium term and definitely in the long term, because we can have a team that we can have. We have a lot of continuity over the next couple of years with the way our contracts are structured, and so we're excited about that. It's been again a unique experience going through this, especially when you bring in multiple teams. And we couldn't be more excited to get Caris here. We've had him on our radar for a long time. We've tried to get him in the past, not just with this trade, but in other trades. And as some of you guys would know, that just as luck would have it, or fortuitous, we drafted him in the past, and now we've got him back. So I guess he's back home, is the way I look at it. And we're excited for that. And we've got to go through a little bit of process, but we always think long term. And then Mr. Simon was phenomenal in putting this in a perspective, like in a human perspective way. So with that, we'll open it up for questions.
Eric Woodyard.
What's up, Kevin? How you doing, man?
Hey, Eric, how you doing?
Pretty good. You spoke about, the doctors and, them giving you feedback and everything, but, some teams might have had some hesitation after they learned that. What did they tell you that made you confident and comfortable not to have any hesitation, or was there any hesitation? I'm not sure once you guys learned that.
Well, there's always a hesitation once you do a physical, Eric. There's you go through. So what happens is you agree on a trade, and then you do the physicals. And so we were in the physical process. We were told of this issue, and then so as sort of a process, we bring in our doctors, and then we bring in the experts in that field, whichever it may be, whether it's internal, whether it's foot, wherever that may be. We really dial in the experts, and so we huddled. I'm probably not exaggerating with this, probably 50 times with our doctors. And there's risk in everything, Eric, and especially in this business. There's all kinds of risk, but we got comfortable with it. And again, for us, it was looking at it in two ways. One, how can it help now? And that's what we were hopeful. And it may not be in today that he can help us, but we do believe that there's a chance that he can help us in the not so distant future. And that's what got us comfortable, in that there's risk. We're willing to accept that risk, but there's also a human element that I felt like we could jump in there, put our hands on them, trust our community. Modern medicine is incredible. And so, I'm not a doctor. I never will profess to understand. Sometimes when they even talk, it's different for me. But I just know that when we had those discussions and all through this, that I felt great. I felt confident. There were ups and downs during it, but at the end of the day, when I went around and asked everybody, should we do this deal, we all said, like, it was in unison too, is like very strong. A lot of times there's a big debate. There was no debate. We said we were going to take a chance and let's do this.
Scott.
Hey, Kevin, thanks for doing this. Can you
Sure.
take us through the timeline? How quickly, when was that physical? And then also, would you highlight the doctor that maybe discovered this?
I can give you a little bit of a timeline, Scott. I want to be careful because I've not asked for permission for that doctor. I have no problem at a certain point in giving you that information, but as far as procedure, I want to respect him, and I'd like to give him the credit, to be honest with you. It's just I've not talked to him, so I hope you can understand that. As far as the timeline, you probably had seen out there that a certain player made a statement that he was ready, and he was ready to move on from that team. And from 10 minutes after that, it got hot and heavy for us. And so if you can kind of backtrack that, we have some negotiations with Houston. Then there are physicals at that time, and I got to be careful of sharing some of that information. But at that point in time, 10 minutes after that player has made that statement, it heats up, and the calls start and the scheduling starts. And at that point in time, it's go on all of us for the last, what is that, 3.5 days? I mean, literally the phone logs for all of us between Chad and Kelly and Ted and Herb and Steve Simon. It has been nonstop all day on our phone, calling, recalling, getting doctors' opinions. There's a little bit of not shock, but we were taken aback when we heard about the news about Caris. But then we felt like, is there an opportunity to tell a great story and have a great story with the kid long term? And so that's how it transpires, by one conversation or one player saying, hey, it's time for me. And things move very fast from there.
Pete?
Yeah, Kevin, you mentioned Herb, and I know this organization has a history of supporting players going through adversity, most recently with Jeremy Lamb's injury, but going back to Victor and even beyond that. How important was it for you to let Caris know that this organization is behind him and supporting him as he goes through everything?
Well, I guess I would answer that by saying I'm really looking forward for you guys to get to know him. And I think you guys will find out that we look at character. Character means it's not BS for us. We take that stuff extremely serious. And if you look at what we have on our team and what our guys are doing, not just on the court, but who they are off the court, you'd be very proud. What makes me really proud is there's been some moments where, yeah, we could have bowed out. We could have said no chance, but Herb and Chad, and they just stuck in there, and they said, let's see this through. Let's really see if there's an opportunity for us to have a great team in the future, and get through this short-term blip in a player's career. So really kudos to those two guys for allowing us to kind of push through. And we talked about with the player, with Caris, just look, we're going to be transparent through this whole thing, whether we're going to be in the trade, whether we're going to be out of the trade. But I can tell you the best conversation I had with this, other than the one I had with Herbie, was telling Caris, we're in with you. And I don't, for some reason in this business, I've been in this business a long time, 20 plus years. In this business, there are times where you think to yourself, you get a little bit of goosebumps and you think, you know what? The basketball gods are going to shine down on us for some reason. And I can feel it. I got a good feeling that this is going to be great for the long term.
Kevin Bowen?
Hey, Kevin, again, thanks for doing this.
Sure.
Obviously, Caris was playing through this. Do you feel like there's a chance he'll play for you this season?
I'm Kevin, I'm an eternal optimist. I would say that. I think I'm a realist, but I'm an optimist. So I would say, yeah, I think there's a chance.
And then follow.
I sounded like the thing in Dumb and Dumber, huh? So you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah. Insert that GIF now. And I know that this might be a little HIPAA, but can you say if this is a cancerous mass or not?
I better not talk about that right now. I think there's going to be a time where Caris will in a lot of details, but right now I prefer not to.
Jeremiah?
While acknowledging that his health is first and foremost priority for everyone, I wonder if you could maybe take me through your evaluation of him prior to the physical and how you envisioned him fitting in to this roster when healthy and with the other players that you have.
Well, thanks for the question. You know, sometimes we just want to talk about basketball, Jeremiah, so I appreciate that. I think the thing that we notice about Caris is he loves the game, and those players tend to get better, and he is right in his prime. So once we get this behind us, we feel like we got a player that is that probably more than anything can make plays for himself, but also makes plays for others. I mean, he's averaging 6 assists now. And in my mind, you know, with our new offense, with the way Nate plays and our triggers and the way we try to get in the paint and make plays, I mean, you can give him the ball, and you've seen it. If you look at his last 10 games, it's like 24, 6 and 8, 22, 4 and 3, 43, 5 and 8. You know, I mean, he fills the stat book up. And what I've always imagined, just in a pure basketball sense, sometimes in this league you can't get the best player on the planet. Those are hard to get, whether it's us or any other team. They're hard to get. But if we keep putting together really good players who know how to play, that can make each other better, I think it gives us a chance. And if you look down the line and you say, here's the starting 5 in the near future of Malcolm and TJ Warren and Caris and Miles and Domas, and you know, you're seeing that our 2 bigs are working really, really well together. I have no doubt that backcourt of Caris and Malcolm can be a dynamic backcourt, you know? And so in my mind, I look, that is a tough 5. Maybe it doesn't have the best player, but if you look at an aggregate, it's a tough team to beat. So that's what I'm really excited about, is having all 5. And TJ Warren's doing well. And, you know, now our team should be, hopefully in not too long a future, we'll be all healthy and we'll have everybody, and Jeremy's getting healthy, and you put our whole team in its aggregate, get everybody healthy, we're not scared of anyone. We know we've got some work to do, but we won't be scared.
Daryl Wells.
Hey, what's going on, Kevin? Just a quick question for you regarding the trade, sir. Understanding you found out that information with the physical. Was the additional second round picks taken to equation after that or beforehand?
After.
Okay.
That being said, we didn't want to lose the deal. So it wasn't like let's shut this down. It was more like, okay, since maybe he's going to miss some, let's make this fair. And negotiating parties all kind of felt the same thing. So it happened after.
Lawrence Murray.
Good evening, Kevin. Thanks for being available here.
Sure.
I know that this has been discussed a lot as the primary reason for this availability in terms of Caris and the results of the physical. I just wanted to just in plain English, simply put, did Caris getting traded expedite the chances of what he has in his body being discovered?
100%. This does not get found out unless a detailed physical happens.
Okay. Scott Agnes.
Following up there for clarification's sake, technically he was a Houston Rocket. Did he have to go to a physical through them and then you guys?
You'd have to ask them.
Okay. And secondly, are you in your kitchen? You're not on the road trip?
I'm in my kitchen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mark Royal.
Hey, Kevin, I just want to understand the technical aspect of this, because Brooklyn, Houston, and Cleveland all announced their involvement before you did. Had you decided to bail on that, would that have been a 3-team trade, or would the whole thing have crashed?
You'd have to ask Houston, Mark. Our deal was we were negotiating with Houston.
Charlie Clifford.
Kevin, thanks for the time. Congrats on a great start to this year. It's
Thank you,
been
Charlie.
fun. I think the last time we saw you, there were a ton of questions around Victor and some reports with the team. And you made mention, look, if when we sit down and we have that conversation, and if he man-to-man explains that long-term, it just doesn't add up for him in Indiana, then we'll go elsewhere. Did that conversation ever physically happen, or did this come together based on your gut?
We had the conversation. We had many conversations. For those people who thought we didn't, the one thing I try to do, or we all try to do, is we really engage our players as much as we possibly can in this organization. I think Nate has done a great job of that. Chad is phenomenal at that. When I spoke to Victor, it was all about one thing. He wanted to have a place where he felt like he could win at a big level. And so he kept, he would always talk about winning is his priority. He never ever told us that Indiana wasn't a place he didn't think he could win at. So I don't think I can infer that like he thought that there were other places. I also couldn't infer that this was the place he was going to definitely be at either. So a little ambiguous, but I don't blame that. He may not know at this point in time where he may, but he may not know. And one of the things we always tried to do was we try to build the best team we can with all our resources to be a potential championship team every single year, to put the best product, to win as many games. And I felt like if we did a great job of that, and there's a lot of luck involved, that there was a chance that he would come back. But there was nothing, there were no guarantees, that's for sure.
Dave Griffiths.
Hey, Kevin, you mentioned the coincidence that you guys originally drafted Caris a couple years ago. I'm wondering just the logistics of that. I mean, did you have a lot of contact with him back then? Because obviously you shipped him right away. I don't know how much contact you would have had. And if he left an impression, because as you said, you tried to acquire him in the past. So I'd imagine he probably did leave some type of good impression on you guys back then.
We interviewed him in the draft process, and there's been about 5 or 6 players that have stood out. Malcolm Brogdon was one of them, and Caris was one of the others. And so we knew when we were trading, it was just, we had made the deal earlier that we were going to trade the first round pick for Thad. We felt very interesting that he did go to Brooklyn with our pick, though. That was one of those weird basketball things. Like, God, if we would have picked it, it would have been him.
Pat Boylan.
Hey, Kevin, to the degree that you can share, can you give us an idea when you see or hear a couple of teams that are talking about a major trade, what the mental process is for you to become involved in a deal like that and ultimately make something like that work for you?
Ask that again, Pat. I want to make sure I understand it completely.
Sure. When another trade is happening and Houston and Brooklyn are talking about James Harden, what's the process for you
Gotcha. Okay.
to make that trade work for you and the Pacers?
Gotcha. So I would say this, that one of Chad's Buchanan, our general manager's big job is being in communication with the league and trying to understand what is going on. We had heard that obviously that there were 2 teams engaged in some negotiations, and we felt like there was a chance of a player that we liked, Caris, that could be in that in some way. When you hear that, the thing you ask is, who is it best to go to try to acquire that player? We felt like, and Chad was the point person, let's engage Houston to see if there's an opportunity to get Caris. And so our mental thing is understand what's going on in the league. Really, it's back from that. Really what we try to do is identify some players in the league that we feel like fit us, and then really trying to keep close tabs on a weekly basis of what's going on with that team. And if there's an opportunity, I'm sure that other teams do very similar things. But once we knew that Brooklyn and Houston were engaged, we knew that there was our opportunity to jump in there and say, can we get Caris? And so that's how the negotiation started. It started through Houston. In this instance, we didn't feel like that we could get a deal directly with Brooklyn to get Caris. So it took a third team.
Mike McClary.
Hi, Kevin. Thanks so much for doing this.
Sure.
You mentioned that you had a good conversation with Caris. Could you share any details of that conversation? And, can you give a sense of his emotions just, on top of learning the news, getting traded already multiple times?
Well, I can tell you this, that I got 2 texts back from the doctors when they told him, kind of what had happened. And they said that they'd never seen a kid be so optimistic and ready to jump in here and get it taken care of and move forward. And so the conversations with Caris, and I think you guys will find out, is he's a very happy person. He believes in looking at things optimistically. He's going to attack this with a smile every single day, and he's going to beat it, and it's going to be a great story. And I think the thing that has hit me the most is that he's been super, super thankful from the minute he got here, working through some stuff. He's been extremely thankful that we're going through this together. So had some really, I didn't expect to have these kind of conversations, but very quickly, I think we're growing to like the kid in a fantastic way.
Gary Washburn.
Hey, Kevin, when you said before that you kind of saw that when the said player was said he was unhappy, that you found a chance to probably get involved. Are these, when you get a player like Caris who has a couple years left in his contract, he's yours for the next 3 years, is this the kind of ways you have to get, maybe standout players? Indiana not being a big time free agent destination, you've got to get creative in how you upgrade your roster and to acquire a player with a couple of years left in his contract for a player on an expiring deal. Is this kind of the things you have to kind of stick your nose into when you are trying to rebuild your roster and upgrade your roster in different kind of ways?
Well, I think you answered it there. Like we try to upgrade our roster all the time. But one of the things that we're not afraid of is taking on a contract because of that reason, because it's a controlled contract going in. There's no ambiguity going out. Like, can you re-sign him? Does he go? Is there sign and trade possibilities? Once we like the player and feel like he can fit for us, we actually like a longer term contract. So yes, that is a big way. If you look at the way we built this team, it's been the TJ Warrens, it's now Caris, believe it or not, Malcolm was a sign and trade. We've done a lot in the trade market. We feel like that there's opportunity to get good players with good contracts that we feel like fit with what we're doing. We're pretty active and aggressive for those kind of situations.
Scott?
Yeah, Kevin, considering and excluding this new discovery, how comfortable were you with Caris's injury past, and how much discussions centered around that before making the deal?
Well, it centered a lot. And, I can tell you, we got really comfortable with that. We feel like modern medicine is really moving quickly too. I think that's part of it. But once a player is starting to put together a path and games back to back and years back to back, then you get a little bit more comfortable. This business, it's almost the variable is injuries anymore for whatever reason. So you have to kind of plan for that. But at the end of the day, we feel like if you can put 7 or 8 really good players on a roster, that can be a competitive advantage that, like we're seeing it right now. We've had a lot of injuries this year, And we've had a lot of players step in and, you know, give Nate a ton of credit because he's getting a ton of players playing at a high level right now. And we're plugging and playing, and guys are staying ready. That's a real credit to our coaching staff. So I think that's a big thing for us is being able to build these, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? The portfolio of players that you want them to play 82 games every single year, but it's tough. It's really tough, and so we hope to have enough depth that we can withstand a few injuries here and there. And then if you get lucky and time it right and really watch things, that really what you're trying to do is get to the point at the end of the season where everybody's healthy. You want that, you pray for it, you hope for it. It's a difficult task though.